I think Nick is on his phone today.
Yeah.
Bless
you.
I keep having to touch my phone to make sure it doesn't just die on me.
So the other prisoners in this story would be the Factals themselves. So are these Factals innocent? I mean, Riot would say that it's not their fault except for Darkwood. Liberation would say it's not their fault, it's the lady, because she's the one with the keys. So, are these Factals just, caught in the crossfire? Are they, political prisoners? Or did they have some blame in creating the atmosphere of political divisiveness that was tearing Sigil apart?
Well, in the last few, because we know how Mahogany thinks about the factions, that they're there because they provide a purpose and a meaning to the city.
Yeah.
The factions are there because they should be, and they should be doing a thing. And they hadn't been. In the last few years, he noticed this first with the Hardheads, but then it just kind of expanded from there. Nobody was doing what they should have been doing. Everyone was doing things opposite to the beliefs that they claim to be espousing.
Is that just every faction was? That's just a blink, the Godsmen weren't doing what they were supposed to be, and the Sensates
not
weren't?
every faction, and honestly, Mahogany thinks some people might have gotten caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
Because all the Factals are gone. And Mahogany's not 100% convinced that Reese got grabbed, but he had seen Reese doing what she could to calm things down in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Every time Reese got upset at him, it was because he was doing something that was increasing tensions.
Okay. All right. So on that note, go ahead, Kelian.
Kelian's view is essentially the same as Riot's. This is another awful machination of Darkwood that is coming to fruition.
Yeah. I mean, Riot, of course, wants to tear every faction down already, but it doesn't blame the factions for what's happening in Sigil right now.
So, provided that you guys are able to right this ship and figure out a way to end the faction war as amicably as possible, you guys have already done a lot to bring more resources into the town. At that point, Liberation would consider launching a campaign to try to free these improperly mazed Factals, whereas Riot's Ambar and Terrence had it coming.
No,
well,
I don't think that's true at all. That's not what I said. No, Riot's thing is that I don't like the factions,
mm-hmm.
but I have nothing against the Factals.
I mean, Kelian's is more basic. Kelian's is, if that's what the lady decreed, all right, I'm not going to cross her. She does her thing, and it's all good.
Maybe the lady just thought we needed new leadership.
All right, so that being said, you guys are in possession of the Labyrinthine Stone, which is this ancient evil wizard trapped by his own magic in this stone, which Darkwood has spent the better part of 2 years searching for. But because it passed through the hands of Eldov at one point, who became unreachable by magic, being trapped inside the dancing hut, Darkwood hit the blinds. And then you guys freed Eldov and kind of kickstarted his plan back into motion. But he disappeared before he got the stone, and now it falls to you.
So is this the way things played out last time? Did we allow Darkwood to get the stone first, before he was mazed, or after?
Who cares? This is the way things are now, and we did what we did.
I don't think there's any way Darkwood ever had the stone.
Now we need to do what we do.
Right.
Yeah, well, how do you plan on thumping the lady's head, huh?
We're not thumping the lady's head.
Okay.
We need to give the stone to the lady.
Yeah, that's also what I was thinking.
What?
Well, we're not giving it to Darkwood.
We're not giving it to Darkwood, and we're not using it ourselves because, look around you. Is this a city where the lavery is chains enslaved? No. And the reason it's not is because when Lou tried to cast a sigil spell, probably he got mazed for his efforts.
So why don't we just not try to enslave everyone?
Yeah.
If the lady had wanted this stone, she would have taken it. She doesn't have it, so she didn't want it.
No. What?
I don't think that we would have been able to get this stone and the lady wasn't. If we have the stone, so we're the ones meant to use it.
I see what you're saying.
I don't know, the lady's kind of inscrutable.
I mean, I can't argue that logic. She could just maze us right now and take the stone if she really wanted it. I guess. But
She could float down that road right now, and Mahogany just points out the window. She starts floating down that road in the next 30 seconds. We just drop the stone outside and we walk away. Until that happens, though, we have to assume this is on us.
5 heads start peering through the window.
Yeah.
yeah, right. It's definitely looking through the window now.
Liberation's looking through the window, too.
You're starting to understand why Darkwood maintained a long haul on Eastguard. Okay, so when you rescued the oldest Barney,
oh, good.
His claim is that he wasn't mazed, that he had a contingency spell in place when the lady came for him that was meant to save him from being mazed, but which transported him back in time, and then he was locked up. Do you guys buy that story?
I mean, would that contingency spell working have looked like him suddenly disappearing?
You would have no way to know.
Because if yes, then sure, because that seems like what happened now.
With months of research into what Darkwood might have been doing, maybe Nath could come to a conclusion on that.
I mean, does it actually matter? Nath's opinion is it doesn't. No, go. Sorry.
Yeah, I buy it because, like I said, Kelian didn't see the lady, and I feel like when the lady mazes somebody, it's a very public event, and it's meant to be a deterrent, right? She shows up, she mazes and/or flays somebody, and everybody else is reminded of how powerful the lady is.
Okay.
I mean, Nath's opinion is escaping from a maze and getting some bizarre miscast time-altering contingency spell, and results the same, so it doesn't particularly matter.
Okay.
Could be the same. Like, it's entirely possible if you escape the maze, you end up back in time and crazy.
So you guys have been discussing this amongst yourselves as you've been dodging the fighting on the way back to the Temple of Osprim, which itself has had its defenses bolstered. You guys have kind of left Cube in charge of making sure that the oldest Barmy doesn't do anything untoward.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Frickard.
Yeah.
Just in case you forgot, I want to point out we weren't running through the streets dodging the fighting. Everyone was flying back on the back of a giant flying crab.
That's irrelevant.
That's extremely important.
That's the least relevant thing you've ever said.
And people are looking up in the streets and just going, nah, not today.
Nobody notices the giant crab. In fact, you're not a giant crab anymore, you're a turtle.
That's fine.
Oh, goodness.
But the fact remains, you guys are now in control of this stone. You have the basic research that has been done on how to cast this sigil spell. And the oldest Barmy has claimed that he is the one that can do it.
Could you run us through again, like, how the slavery thing came into it?
Yeah.
Because I got the impression that was something we could not do. But
So-
I don't remember exactly how that worked.
You found, or rather Riot found, while you guys were dealing with golems, she's like, golems, fuck that. You found some research that was having been done in Tivum's Antiquities. Tivum was Lu's master, who was studying this particular stone, and then the stone fell to Lu when Tivum died, probably under mysterious circumstances. The way the spell works is you have to commune with the wizard inside of the stone as you walk a particular route through the streets of Sigil. And at the end of that route, if you've done it correctly and the communication was correct, the wizard will be released, but instead of kind of being released in the sense that he's now free, his spirit will be turned into magical energy, which charges the spell. And then you can shape Sigil with a single word. The word that Tivum was going to choose was slavery. thinking that doing so he would enslave the Lady of Pain and bend her to his will. You guys don't know whether or not Darkwood got that far with the spell. But that's
So
the last time
that changes
this
my
thing's
perspective on this, because now I'm more in the idea that this is for us to do. Because now my idea on it is he picked slavery, the lady didn't like that, and so she mazed him. If we pick a different word, then we could not get mazed.
You
Why
think
do we
that's
have
how
to-
it's going to work?
Why do we have to pick a word at all? Why do we have to do this? I don't want to do this.
Because, okay,
It should-
then
it should
then you
know
have no
that-
claim and leave this discussion to the rest of us.
Do you have a better idea on how to open the portals back up and keep the city from starving to death? Because if you are, I'm all ears. Like I am.
Why am I the
entirely-
only one that seems to be weirded out by this? Why am I like? I am the one that should be like, yes, we should use the stone and we should save Sigil, but why me? Like, how are the rest of you like? Yeah, this is a thing we should do.
Because we're important.
Because we all believe in something.
Kelian, I think it might be perhaps because you're more used to reacting to the world as it is. That's your whole philosophy, right? Just take whatever you need.
Oh,
I mean, I might be wrong on that, but there are other possibilities for the world. Some that are better, many that are better, most that are better.
I hope my maze is nice.
What if he was mazed, right? But the labyrinth he got stuck in was the gatehouse 300 years ago. Huh?
So does that wait? Does it make us in the maze with him?
you saying-
It's all a maze. It's all a cage.
Is that going to be the big twist? In session 83, I'm going to reveal you were mazed the whole time.
Everyone's trapped in their own personal mazes. Eh?
So what is the plan with the stone then? Since some of you at least are convinced that it's for you to use, how do you put that plan into action?
Well, I think we need to decide what word we're going to decide on.
What we need more than that is decide who's going to cast the spell.
Well, why don't we just all cast the spell?
Does it work like that?
I don't know. It's all horseshit.
Well, let's do this because this is a big decision. I'm not gonna lie. Go ahead and have the discussion about the word, but nobody actually share your word. Then what I'll do is I'll take you into the private channel one by one and make a nice little list. Because that's
All
the
right, well,
most
here's
fun
the thing.
for me and the most
Because if we're going to
stressful
have a
for you.
discussion about the word, I'm going to say the word while I'm having the discussion.
But just don't
Yeah.
say that that's your word. Just let them figure it out. Because this discussion is taking place in character back at the temple, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the best word we can use is liberation, right?
Liberation around like
That opens the portals. It frees people.
I was thinking freedom, but yeah,
If we had to
that
use
works
one
too.
word,
you're right.
I'd like to keep it in the family, you know.
Aww, liberation blushes a little bit, which is good for a red-skinned tiefling.
I don't like the word freedom.
Well, that's
Freedom.
not the word you're using.
Freedom
Freedom.
lies a little too on the chaotic side for me.
Freedom means that the blood war spills over into whatever this place is. Freedom means that the battles can start taking here. In fact, if this is the center of the multiverse, you bet it's going to come.
And Mahogany points at Kelian when he says that. And he says, that's why I have a word too. And he kind of pulls over a plate and starts spinning it. And he says, Sigil's the center of the multiverse, which means that it's the center of the wheel. And what happens if one side of the wheel, like with freedom or liberation, gets more powerful? And then he just puts a little weight on one side and the whole plate just tips over. He says, I think we need to go with balance.
What I heard is that Mahogany just broke one of Osprum's plates.
Yeah, Riot snatches up the piece of plate and starts casting mending on it. Gives him Mahogany a dirty look.
Says, see? You start adding chaos to one side of the wheel, you get broken plates.
Well, hold on, and
I'm not talking about.
Nath will
adding
take
chaos.
another plate, and he'll use a cantrip to make it spin very fast. With sufficient angular momentum, however, and he takes a small stone and puts it on it. It can actually hold.
So your idea is that if we spin the great wheel fast enough...
Does anyone have an onion?
Wow. This is heavy. This is all a bit beyond me. I mean, I'm just a guy.
Yeah, it's beyond most of us. Hey, Nath, do you want to help me look over these notes to see if we can figure out how to cast a spell?
Yeah, I have a legend lore in case that would work too. I procured the components yesterday. I don't know if that'll give us any extra information, but...
Okay, let me look
Couldn't
up
hurt.
that spell here so I can anticipate my answer.
I think I probably have to cast it tomorrow, though. I think I'm out of slots. I have burnt a lot of spell slots.
It was a lot of
did you?
fight.
I wasn't even... No, I was out when I started the fight.
Oh, were you?
Well, I used my low-level slots, but yeah, the legend lore would be tomorrow.
So this is a line. A lot of times people cast legend lore. The line, if the thing you named isn't of legendary importance, you gain no information. I think it's fair to say that the Labyrinth Stone is, in fact, of legendary importance.
Yeah.
So what's happening for the rest of tonight after this discussion? Because, I mean, if you guys want to... I mean, a lot of you are tired, not of spell slots.
Yeah.
I think we're taking a rest while we kind of like hash things out between us.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead and
Riot's
take the
gonna
benefits of the long rest
Retreat into
then.
Imagine.
Okay.
Actually, what time is it?
Right? Do you have any resources left? Do you think you could burn it on a? Oh, you know what? Never mind. I'll just throw some.
No, what's finish your question?
I was gonna say, can you throw a pour of vitality? So I'm still
you-
wounded from the last.
That bad?
I'm still
Yeah.
very severely wounded from the last
Yeah, I
fight.
can guess one of those. Somebody roll me 20d6.
20d6.
Oh, you know what? I can get a 5th level slot back on a short rest. So yeah, I can do the legend lore in an hour.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, make sure it's 20. Of course, it goes right back in the bag. Wow. Sit there, don't go flying everywhere, please.
I'm actually really happy Destil's casting this spell. I'll explain why at the end of the adventure. It's the biggest flaw in this adventure that I think Destil is just about to rectify. So what is the component for legend lore?
How much
We-
bonus? Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's see, there's 2 components. There's a focus and a component. One of them is smite. Let me get the other sheet that has the components on it. So yeah, Nath will get a quiet... Well, can I use your office? The one with the mirror?
Yeah, go ahead. What
Okay.
it's there for?
believe it's
How mu-
incense and some legend lore.
I think
just
we have
wrote
some
down-
incense in the temple.
I have to look on the other sheet.
How much do you kick this
I
healing
just
die?
put it in chat.
Oh, you did. Okay.
What is Nath's... I mean, I know we've kind of hashed out Nath's opinions about Sigil before, but now that he went into one of the ladies' mazes and freed one of her prisoners. He doesn't have a very rosy outlook on Sigil, and you just had a conversation with your companions, several of which have lived in Sigil their whole lives. At least one of them blames the lady specifically for the state of current events. What's Nath's take on the Lady of Pain? Like, as a ruler of Sigil?
Pretty capricious and apparently somewhat arbitrary. Not honestly the biggest fan at this point.
And yet you're not mazed. You are free to criticize her as much as you want. That's probably not true, so...
No, that seems fake.
The material components are 250 gold pieces worth of incense, which are consumed, and 4 ivory strips worth 50 gold each.
Alright, so you are smoking up this office with incense
So
and focusing your magic into the stone. you have to push through quite a lot of abjuration to get into this stone. In your life, in all of your studies, as often as you've used this particular spell or just studied magical items, you've never seen an item of this that contains this kind of power. And it seems like something's trying to keep you out. That something's trying to keep its secrets hidden. But you always find a way through it. You find a route around this particular abjuration. You find a way to clear the fog of it. And you see the Lady of Pain. And you see her speaking to the stone that sits in front of you now. And you hear her voice in your mind. And it's unlike any voice. It's indescribable. You're not going to be able to describe it to your companions tomorrow when you tell them about it. In fact, I'm not able to describe it to you now. And she's speaking to the wizard who has trapped himself in this stone with his own magic. And she says, "None but you may unlock this jewel, and then only from without. Thus you are snared till aeons hence." And then at that point, the wall pushes you out.
Aeon sense.
Until
I got none but you may unlock this jewel.
And then only from without. Thus you are snared till aeons hence.
Are you kidding me, Brick Road?
And then the stone pushes you out. As though it needed you to hear that line, and then no more could be revealed.
Just a heads up, there are 50 points of healing up for grabs.
I'll take them.
I'll just spend hit dice during that short rest to get my spell back.
So that's what you get out of the legend lore.
And Nath will look up from the incense, walk over to the stone that's sitting on top of the strips, pick it up, look at it, and then
the stone is not sitting there. The stone is in Riot's back.
I don't think I can cast the spell without it there.
You have to put it in the cast.
Yeah.
To back it.
Take the stone off the floor. Strips, pick it up, look for it a moment, and hand it to Riot, just repeating the phrase he got for a few seconds before he really snaps back into reality.
Huh. So do we actually need the old army?
Yes.
Or...
And Mahogany goes back downstairs and he says, "Hey, you're pretty certain only you can open up this stone, right? You can only cast a spell?"
The Barmy is currently in like a deep slumber. Cube was instructed to keep him neutralized, as you recall. So
and
right now the
Barmy
Barmy
I come back upstairs and I say, "I think we're dealing with a 3 Darkwood situation here."
What?
And Mahogany goes, I need some paper. And he starts drawing big loops that kind of circle in on each other.
And now Riot is worried because Mahogany has asked for paper.
Yeah. He goes, "Okay, here's Darkwood as we know him. He disappears, goes back in time, and he becomes the oldest Barmy. We're that far, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
like
now we go forward in time, and we get to this guy, who then casts this spell, releases this evil wizard, and goes on for whoever knows how much time, right? But at some point, they go back in time again and make this stone, and then they go forward until they're then released from the stone by them. This is a 3 Darkwood situation."
Well, this is no good at all, because we can't trust him to say any word we want.
This is no good at all, because Darkwood sucks, and there's 3 of him.
Yeah.
I wonder if unlocking the jewel is the same as using it. I wonder if it's possible to somehow go into or liberate whoever's inside of it, only to get access to it and then use it ourselves.
The spell does say that casting the spell will release whoever's inside.
I don't
Didn't
think
it
we
say
can...
that it will consume them?
Consume, sure, but they'll be released.
And Mahogany slaps his hand on the table. He says, "I got it. The lady's a cipher. She hates plans as much as I do, and that's why this guy's plan is terrible, but it'll be fine because she's the one who locked him up in the first place, so it's okay if he lets him out, which she said she has to do, and then everything will go fine because he's going to get fucked by his own horrible plan. Because that's how she planned it.
But
wait.
But no.
Liberation was literally about to point that out.
Maybe she's not a cipher.
I'm not willing to accept that only the Barmy can use the stone. I want to give this a try first.
And Mahogany backs up a little bit from Riot and says, "You implying the lady was lying?"
No, I didn't. Who said that?
The lady's the one who said that only he could use it.
So you're saying that Darkwood's still in? Yeah, so Darkwood's still in there.
Yeah, Cube's got Darkwood locked down.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, Darkwood is in
Yeah, it
there,
sucks,
but
doesn't
he's also
it?
out here.
Right.
Mahogany, no. What you've done is terrible. You've done the terrible thing, Mahogany.
I never want you to say that this is my fault. I've done a lot of things. This one's not on me.
Can I, Riot, do you mind if I spend some time studying that ritual book you,
Oh, yeah,
Perhaps?
sure.
Nath will sit down with that for a while.
Hey, maybe you should use that other stone. I mean, we got 2 stones with people locked in them, right? Maybe that's a thing.
You have you have the vial of liquid containing part of Terran's brain.
That's
Yeah,
the stone's
yeah.
just a liquid that's been melted.
Nath, how long do you spend poring over this tome?
What time is it?
This would be after your short rest, so during everybody's long rests. So this is still very late at night. This is before anybody's had a chance to go to sleep.
Yeah, I was going to do it. Basically, I was going to spend the time between the short rest and starting the long rest. I didn't think it was that late.
Okay.
I think Riot is going to be there, like just kind of like peering over his shoulder, trying to help him.
Okay.
She's very curious about this stuff too.
You're a College of Lore bard, right?
Yes.
Both of you looking, just kind of poring over this tome. This is somebody's life's work. You would need to cross-reference stuff in here with a very well-stocked magical library.
Oh, sorry. Last thing I heard was life's work.
Yeah, you would have to cross-reference through a very well-stocked magical library to make sense of a lot of this. You would have to basically invest resources and time that you may not have. Like, you could spend easily a year or more putting this together.
Yeah. Riot's going to take a few notes
Okay.
on stuff she doesn't understand, and I think that's going to be one of my actions tomorrow, is to go to the Terrible Liar and try and get information on the stuff and also level up.
Okay. You can go ahead and level up tonight if you want during your rest.
Oh, okay.
And take care of that. So everybody go ahead and take the benefits of their long rests. In the morning, Cube tells you that he's got various abjurations keeping the oldest Barmy in a stasis. And then he's considering using the same kind of magics on Eldov because he's sick of hearing about how he's got these grandiose schemes to retake the Dancing Hut.
Cube, answer me something. Were you able to contact that partition of Terran's mind?
He is still kind of blown away that Terran actually managed to pull this off, because this is something that was only theory when Cube and Terran were working together. The basic idea is that you can communicate with this vial as you could communicate with any brain. Anything you have that can, the telepathy or mind link, dream, anything that you could use to communicate telepathically can be used on this vial as though it were Terran. Cube tells you that Terran very cautiously was selective about what parts of his consciousness went into this vial and left out the part that was able to get bored so as to preserve his sanity.
Was
Speaking as a
Terran really sane to start?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Terran thought he was sane.
The insane always do.
So
Wibbly, bibbly,
what
wibbly.
Cube has essentially done is passed on the information that you were able to give to him about what became of Eldov and Jade Bull and Daniel and all the rest of them. A little bit about your current predicament regarding Sigil, which Cube doesn't know a lot about. He's not from Sigil. And Terran, he also learned that Terran did this as kind of a middle finger to Destin Locke. The idea was Locke doesn't have control over what's in this bottle. But Terran still has some link to his physical body, which is down in the Nine Hells. Which means Terran has access to information about the fortress where he's stationed.
Can you tell him I'm sorry I suggested we drink him?
Cube says that there was a 3-hour digression during their communications about what would happen if you did drink him. And as far as Cube understands, and he pulls out the sheets of calculations and diagrams and onions that he has, and explains that the conclusion, and he grabs a red marker and circles it, and it says just nothing good.
Okay, but no hard feelings, though, which should be easy for him because he's a liquid.
He says in the current state of the liquid in the bottle, he's not sure if it has feelings as such.
Awesome.
Terran does not have access to spells in this state. He does not have access to class features. He's basically just a mouth.
Hey,
Magic.
speaking of all those guys, Mahogany, do you know what happened to Jade Bull? Because last time I saw, Reese was taking care of it, but now Reese is up in Famoosed.
Yeah.
Mahogany raises one finger and opens his mouth and says, "No, I have no idea."
Can you go check and see if anyone in the ciphers knows?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Expedite.
So the last question Cube has for you is there anything you want to do with the oldest Barmy, or do you want him to put him down for another day?
Another day.
Okay.
Stick
I
him in
don't-
the closet. We'll be done.
If
We'll
we're
be
gonna-
done eventually.
You can get him back up, though, right? While he's down, like, you can dispel whatever it is. We don't have to wait a whole day. And Mahogany looks around, he says, "I think we want to do this as fast as possible. The city's
Yeah.
starving out there."
Yeah, no, yeah.
On the note of the city starving, there has been a Harris Hatchis flyer campaign that has popped up out of nowhere while you all were sleeping and studying last night. Apparently, some good Samaritan in the ladies' ward had anticipated this kind of disaster in Sigil and arranged for an extra-dimensional space under the city to contain a great amount of resources, foods, water, and now that those resources are flowing through elements in the Bleak Cabal and the Harmonium and making it out to the people of Sigil. And this morning, in typical kind of noble Sigillian upper-class fashion, a lot of nobles are now trying to one-up each other in who can do the most to put food into the streets of Sigil. Like, it's becoming a competition. So your
good.
efforts
Competing on
in
something good.
your efforts in that area have helped a lot. So there is still quite a lot of fighting and squabbling in the streets, but the panic over lack of resources has been diminished greatly.
When the Bleak Cabal come by this part of the city, I thank them for doing it even though it was pointless.
It has also
Give us another day or
inspired
two.
a lot of the wealthiest factions, especially the Signers and the Sensates, who have a lot of magicians, to basically impress some of their number into coming back from the fighting and instead spending their resources on creating food and water with magic. This isn't a permanent solution, but it's a good band-aid. You guys have put a stopgap on that.
Good.
So I'm about to get morning actions from you guys, but before we set out in the morning, Liberation.
Hey.
Throughout the morning, after you wake up, Rose looks like she's working up the courage to ask you a question, and then she finally blurts it out before you're about to leave. She asks, and you can see in her face that she sincerely doesn't understand. She asks, what is the purpose of doing these good works for people who won't show any kind of gratitude? If you do manage to fix the problems in Sigil, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to give you accolades for it. You're not going to get anything out of it. And she seems to be asking very sincerely.
The simple fact of the matter is, we all have our potentials to live to. Whether it be you, me, Mahogany, Riot, whoever, we all have something that deep down in our cores we aspire to be, and part of life is seeking that out and then acting on it. And if people are dying in the streets or starvation, that's not an aspiration for anybody.
She asks if there is a person in the street who is not productive, who's not useful, and somebody who would not appreciate the charity you're seeking to give them. Why not? Why is it not better to let that person starve?
Because I don't know that person. I don't know their life story. I don't know their circumstances.
And you see that your answers have not placated her, but at that point she clams up and she ceases asking questions. But you see that you've puzzled her quite a bit.
Of course I have.
Such is the nature of evil.
Yep.
Morning actions, then. What's Kelian doing this morning?
Oh, I have no idea. Let me think. Come back to me.
What's Riot doing this morning?
Riot is going to put on her best Sunday seeming and go to the barracks. Not the barracks. Where's the harmonium? The barracks?
Oh,
Yeah, it's
yes.
the barracks.
Okay,
Well,
yeah.
the barracks and the armory these days.
That's true.
Okay, to what end? What's the goal there?
Looking for a high up, or what passes for a high up in the armory these days. They're the barracks.
Okay. What is Liberation doing this morning?
Still trying to decide what to do next.
What is Nath doing?
So it would take years to actually work out the specifics of the ritual to walk the streets and use the stone. That's the conclusion I come to.
Make an Arcana check at disadvantage.
Okay.
I'm allowing you to make the check at all because you kind of know the nature of the stone, having used legend lore.
18.
18. If you were looking for a quick and dirty way to cast the spell right now, Lou has done you a solid. Lou has a diagram of the path through the streets. She has outlined what needs to be done with the stone. The missing piece are essentially the magic words, the communications between you and the spirit in the stone as you're walking. Once you have that missing piece, you might be able to attempt casting the spell yourself.
Okay, so that's why Lou hasn't tried to do this herself yet. It's because
Right.
she's missing that piece. Okay.
She was working on it. She was picking up where T-Voom had left off.
If I just... Alright, let's try it. If I cast Sending into the stone, does that get a response?
It does not.
Should I give you a Sending? Okay.
So morning action for Nath.
Let me think here for a second. Am I the last one?
No.
No.
Go
You gotta
to
come back to me.
Mahogany, you're going to the ciphers?
Yeah, I figure check up on what's going on there, and also checking on where the hell Jade Bull is.
Okay. Kelian.
Who's got the stone? Let me ask that.
Riot?
Riot? Kelian's gonna just follow. Oh no, she's seeming and she's not being herself, so never mind. He'll chill. He's gonna chill at the temple.
Stay at the temple, okay?
Yeah.
Liberation.
Not let the oldest Barmy out of his sight.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the foundry and see what I can do about directing some of their efforts toward disaster relief.
Okay. And Nath.
Nath will go to the Hall of Records. What was the... It was Tivo was the guy who originally had the stone?
Tivum came into possession of it. Then he died. He's the one who owned the store where Lou worked.
Yeah, he's going to go to the Hall of Records and see if there's anything at all pull up any records on that person.
Okay.
It wasn't TiVo. It's not a sensory stone.
Got one of those too.
Riot.
Mm-hmm.
The Harmonium's in a bad way right now. Their factal was very suddenly assassinated, and there is a lot of conspiracy talk on the street because now the general population is starting to notice all the factals are gone. Most of them just vanished, but 2 of them were very publicly assassinated. Saren wasn't publicly assassinated, but, I mean, the word got out.
Yeah.
So the problem with the Harmonium right now is that the Sons of Mercy have kind of seized the opportunity there. And when you arrive at the barracks, the woman giving out the orders is Ione Whitespear. She's the one kind of calling the shots at the Harmonium. She was a Mercy Killer Justicar that you've crossed path with.
She's the only person in the campaign who may hate Sigil more than Nath.
That's very true, but you see it in the streets as you walk through town, avoiding the conflicts. Ione and the rest of the Sons of Mercy are dead set in seeing this war won. They are bending a great amount of their resources from both factions. And Riot's an anarchist, so it looks to you like the Sons of Mercy are trying to push the Harmonium out. They're going to take control of both factions. If they can.
Okay. Yeah, and I want to see if I can get an audience with Ione.
Do you use your secret disguise identity, or do you come clean?
No, I'm using my secret disguise identity.
Okay, and what is that identity?
Do I have my notes? My notes are at home. I don't remember exactly what it was. Basically, she is presenting herself as a sort of plainclothes Harmonium. Do they have those?
Not as such, but it's not, as you found out with Hollis Dwath, it's not totally unheard of for agents in the Harmonium to kind of go rogue and work things from the other direction.
Mm-hmm. Then yeah, I'll pass myself off as somebody who has been working sort of clandestinely.
Okay.
And I have a report on my activities to give to Ione Whitespear.
Make an intelligence history check.
Okay.
Let me see if I want to give you
someone
advantage on that.
Okay.
Riot does not have any influence with the Harmonium or the Mercy Killers, so don't take advantage on that check.
Okay. Someone want to roll me a d20?
Yeah, I'll toss it out.
I got it right here. There it goes. Pretty good roll.
All right.
17 on die.
17? Okay, that turns into a 19.
As you're moving up towards the barracks, you start thinking, and you hear that Whitespear's in charge. You start thinking about the best way to approach this. Whitespear herself was kind of a renegade.
Yeah.
And you think if you approach it from the angle of, like, I was working kind of under the table because Saren was in charge and Saren was a stickler, but now he's gone, but I think what I have can do some actual good, even if it was outside of the law. If you approach it from that angle, you think Whitespear might be inclined to listen.
Okay, yeah. That's the approach I'll take.
And it's very strange going to the barracks and being directed around by people wearing what was Mercy Killer armor, but now you're seeing they have adopted a new sigil for the Sons of Mercy. Which, do I have that sigil? I'm not sure if I do, actually. But anyway, yeah, you're able to get in to speak with Whitespear.
Okay. And I'll explain to her that there has been a lot of I mean, you know about the turmoil, and there are a lot of up-and-comers in the Harmonium, and we have to know who we can trust, right?
She tells you that right now she has 8 Harmonium soldiers being held in cells back at the prison, 2 of which were placed there by a magician of the Harmonium named Nath.
Mm-hmm.
That she is cracking down hard on hardheads that are overstepping their, in her interpretation, overstepping their bounds in the street. They're up to 8, and she's got special agents out making sure there aren't more.
You may want to take a look at the ones that Nath brought in, because it's him I've come to tell you about.
Has Nath met White Spear? I don't think he has.
I don't think so.
Face. And she says then that she only knows him by reputation, but she's heard that he's worked closely with Hollis Dwath, which is a man that she's trying to get into contact with again, but has been unable to so far. But she's willing to hear anything you have to say.
I'm worried that this Nath has set himself up as some sort of agent of Dwath, with no way to corroborate that, with no way to check on his bona fides. And so I took it upon myself to shadow the man for a while. And what I found is horrendous for an officer of the Harmonium. It looks like he set up an operation to steal food from a private citizen. I personally witnessed him break into a shop to steal God knows what, subdue the owner illegally. I've spoken to contacts at a temple once where it seemed like he was on the verge of stealing sacred fish.
And she stops you and she says, "Sacred fish."
I had the same. It seems stupid to me too, but every religion holds something sacred, and apparently this one is fish. Bottom line is, ma'am, he's gone rogue. Whatever, he answers only to his own authority. He doesn't care about Sigil law. I don't know what he's up to.
And she looks to consider this very, very carefully. Make a charisma persuasion check.
Okay.
I think Nath should roll.
I think that's,
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Destil,
Right.
I think you roll this one.
Yeah. Seven on die.
7 die. I guess that turns into a 24. Someone want to roll me a d12?
You putting some stank on this?
Yeah.
That bardic stank.
Another 7 on die.
All right, so we're at a 31 now.
Okay.
31. Wow.
Something seems strange. Like, you're not getting the look. Like, she looks concerned. Like, she's carefully weighing the information. But she also looks very intrigued. And when you get to the end of your explanation about how Nath has gone rogue and you think we might need to take a closer look at him, she seems almost relieved. And then at the end of your explanation, you mention Sigil law. And she says, Nylesia is gone. We will bring the sod killers to heel. Saren's soul is at rest, and the time of his ineffective law enforcement is at an end. Perhaps we are seeing the dawn of a new law in Sigil. Perhaps it's long overdue.
But would that be whatever law we personally believe in?
She says that she will speak to
I'm not
Nath.
saying... Sorry. Forgive me, ma'am. I'm not saying that what he's doing is wrong. He may have had the best reasons. He may have had the best of intentions.
Mm-hmm.
But he is not acting in a manner befitting of a hardhead. Or a Harmonium.
And I think the dog says it all. And then she very coolly reminds you that she's not a hardhead herself. She says, Nath has one, and again, I only know the man by reputation.
I missed it. And then she varies something.
She says she's not a hardhead herself.
Yeah.
She says again, I only know the man by reputation, and what you've told me makes me inclined to call him in so that I can get a better sense of him. But Nath has...
I think that would be wise for all concerned.
She says Nath has one value, one characteristic that she prizes that is severely lacking in the Harmonium, and that's he's not from Sigil. He's not poisoned by this town. She says it almost accusatory, like implying that you are.
And I'll like draw myself up, kind of like mock offended.
Okay.
I see. Well, sir, we'll do as sir sees fit. Do with this information what you will. I only came to present it. And give a Harmonium salute and leave.
Oh, you're not dismissed, she says.
Uh-huh.
She asks what your credentials are. What abilities you have. What were your duties in the Harmonium before you decided to undertake this investigation of your own accord?
Wasn't my own accord. Fortunately, my superior officer was killed in the fighting recently.
She offers her condolences. They've lost many good men.
Yes. What is it you would have me do?
She doesn't know anything about your speciality. Are you a soldier? Are you a detective? Are you a wizard? What can you do?
Mostly a detective. Mostly undercover work. Plainclothes operations, that sort of thing. Is there someone you would have me look into?
She says she's going to reassign you to... Bear with me 1 second.
Got it.
She asks whether you have any... She asks whether you have any experience with disguises.
A bit. I mean, it comes natural into my line of work.
She says she wants you to infiltrate the grounds of the Hall of Records. That's a place in Sigil where she personally believes, as a mercy killer, there has been little justice for way too long. And it's one of the few places in the city where there has been no fighting. She wants to know why.
Give me a couple weeks and I'll see what I can do. Is there anyone in particular you would have me look into, or just the general subject?
She says if you need her to tell you how to do your job, she doesn't need you at all.
Very well.
While you're on the grounds of the barracks, go ahead and make an insight check. Make a perception check.
Okay. Someone want to roll that?
There it goes. 13 on die.
Okay, so that turns into a 27.
Okay. One of the factions on the other side of the fighting is the Sod Killers. The Sod Killers being like a splinter group of the Mercy Killers that broke off. And you hear rumors amongst the Sons of Mercy and the Harmonium that are talking to each other that there's going to be action taken against Sod Killers, something involving the Sensates. It feels to you like the Harmonium are gearing up for an inevitable Sensate betrayal.